Our subject is Operations Management or CBMEC 1. I have given you a material. I have uploaded a PDF file which will be our material for the entire semester. So, the ebook or the material that we are going to use is the 12th edition of Operations Management by William Stevenson. Okay, and we are going to tackle the first or the introduction to Operations Management. Okay, now, in order for us to understand what operations management is, let's define first the word operations. Operations, hindi yung opera na sa hospital, hindi yung operation na surgery, mag-opera ng katawan ng tao or whatsoever. No. Operations is that part of a business because we are CBA students, right? You are accountancy students. A part of a business organization that is responsible for producing goods and or services. So, this highlighter, for example, undergone operations. Okay? Ibig sabihin, before this highlighter become a final product, it undergo a process. Okay? Yung tinatawag natin operations. Okay? Or the processing or the production. Okay? Other term for operations is production. Other term for operations management is production management. So, before na-produce itong product nito, it undergone a production. Okay? Merong mga raw materials hanggang sa na-assemble and whatsoever until naging final product. Now, ang sabi dito, it's that a part of business organization that is responsible for producing goods and or services. Now, what are goods? Goods are physical items that include raw materials, parts, sub-assemblies such as motherboards that go into computers and final products such as cell phones and automobiles. Everything all around you are goods. All of the tangible things that surrounds you are goods. Your clothing are your goods. And the raw materials of that good is also goods. For example, your laptops. Your laptops is considered as goods. Okay? It's a product, it's goods. The motherboard of that laptop is also goods. Okay? So, the inputs to that laptops are goods. Okay? Just comment the question so I can answer it. Okay? And then, next is services. Now, goods are tangible items, products. Services, however, are activities that provide some combination of time, location, form, or psychological value. When we say services, so your laptop is not a service. Okay? But the internet, okay, the internet that is being provided by PLDT, by Globe, is a service. Okay? Nagets nyo? The installation of that internet is service. So, service is an activity. You are doing it. You are rendering it. Okay? You are providing it. What I'm doing as a teacher right now is a service. Okay? What you can receive from the service providers are experiences. Okay? So, it has a combination of time and also real-time din siya. So, when you say real-time, hindi siya nagawa dati tapos saka ma-receive. Real-time siya in a sense that if I do my service, you will receive it right away. Okay? So, location. For example, you need someone to arrange your plants or your garden in your home. You will call for, let's say, a lawn mower. You will call for someone who will clean up your backyard. Okay? It's real time. The location is there in your house. Form. That person may build something or create something. Psychological value. It's more on the mind, is on the behavior, okay, the psychological aspect of it. Examples of goods and services are all around you. You can name them, okay? Now, let's move to the basic parts of the operations management, and we'll try to answer the question of how important operations management is. Okay. Now, there are three basic functions, three basic departments, three basic parts of an organization. So in figure 1.1, the management of systems or processes that create goods and provide services. We are talking about operations management. So to further understand what operations management, let's take a look at these three. We have finance, operations, and marketing. As you can see, operations is in the middle. But first, let's go to finance. By the way, before that, the ideal situation for a business organization is to achieve a match between the supply and the demand. Okay, economics. Okay, to match that, kailangan hindi magsusobra yung supply mo, walang magiging excess or whatsoever. Dito papasok yung three basic functions of organization in order to manage this kind of match-up na kailangang mangyayari. Okay? Let's first go to finance. So, finance is responsible for securing financial resources at favorable prices and allocating those resources throughout the organization, as well as budgeting, analyzing investment proposals, and providing funds for operations. So, I know that in your mind, you can already picture out what finance is. Anything na nagpapatakbo ito siya sa negosyo in a monetary form, financially, let's say, from investments, from assets, okay? The finance department is responsible for securing that resources. Resources in capital, in stocks, in investments, okay? Another thing is that, ayun, it is responsible for providing funds for operations. So, balikan natin yung structure. Finance dapat yung mauna before operations. So, operations cannot, hindi mo mapapatakbo yung production ng product if you do not have the funds, okay, to allocate, to procure, to purchase those raw materials, okay? Marketing is responsible for assessing consumer wants and needs, and selling and promoting the organization's goods and services. Now, before a company can operate, okay, can produce, can do production, okay, can manufacture products, the marketing department should know in the first place, okay, ano yung gusto ng customers. So, this highlighter, for example, by Faber-Castell, I'm not a person, by Faber-Castell, before this was conceptualized, before this was made into reality, the marketing department first assessed if people needs this. When they did their study, okay, for example, they did a survey or a research, and they found out that students need highlighter or need something that could emphasize wordings in their photocopies, in their books. Kaya nagkaroon ng concept or ng idea na dapat magkaroon ng highlighter. Okay? Because of that initiative of the marketing department, nagkaroon ng idea for a product, and that idea becomes a blueprint, and that blueprint will be produced. Okay? Magagawa na yung blueprint na yun because of that idea na nag-assess yung marketing kung ano bang gusto at ano ba ang kailangan ng mga tao. Another job of marketing. Pag natapos na si highlighter, marketing is responsible for advertising and promoting this. And reinforcing again to the people that, hey, nahihirapan ka bang mag-study? Mga ganun. So, the marketing department is the responsible for promoting and selling. Okay, and selling. So as you can see, meron tayong supply and demand channels na nangyayari, or the link na nangyayari, or part, supply and demand part. So let's go with the operations. So the operations is responsible, ito yung gitna, okay, finance, just imagine, finance, operations, and marketing. Operations is responsible for producing the goods or providing the services offered by the organization as what we've defined lately. Okay, operations is the core. When you say the core, for example, in a car, ang sasakyan merong engine. Okay? Without the engine, a car cannot move. Yun. Without the engine, without the core, there is no car in the first place. It's just the physical aspect or the surface, the case. Ano ba tawag yan? Okay, the hood, the roof, whatsoever. Okay, there may be some manubela or clutch or whatever. Pero if walang engine, hindi tatakbo yung sasakyan. So, same is true. In a business, without operations, the business cannot run. Now, kung titingnan natin, hindi lang naman operations, hindi lang naman makina ang kailangan ng isang sasakyan. Ang isang sasakyan, kailangan niya ng gasolina, the fuel. The fuel in the business is the finance, because the finance department will fund the operation so that there will be raw materials, there will be what they call that, inputs, so that they would create a final product. Okay? The finance is the fuel, the operations is the engine. Now, question, can a car move without the driver? The driver is the marketing. Okay? Because the marketing department will drive the car, will drive the business kung saan patutungo yung business. It's up to the marketing department if they will go extra mile, because they are the drivers of the business. Okay? The marketing department will examine what is happening in the road. Okay? Tutuloy pa ba tayo with this kind of product, or will we change this branding or whatsoever? Okay? Now, let's move to supply chain. Okay. Supply chain is a sequence of activities and organizations involved in producing and delivering a good or service. We are talking about manufacturing. We are talking about production. We are talking about operations. Okay? It has a process from inputs, from raw materials to production to final output. Okay, yung sequence na yon na makikita natin from this point to this point is the supply chain. It's a chain. Now let's take a look at the picture of a supply chain. Okay? Don't worry kung hindi klaro sa inyo, I will give a copy of this slide. Also, nasa e-books nyo rin ito. Simple product supply chain. Okay, simple product supply chain. Makikita natin saan galing, paano nagsimula ang isang final output of a product. Supplier. Okay? Who are the suppliers of these suppliers? For example, I will be manufacturing a flour for the bread, harina. Ako yung manufacturer ng harina. Sino naman yung supplier ko para ma-create ko yung harina? Okay, you see the sequence. Now, next is the direct suppliers. If I am the supplier of harina, I will give it to the supplier, or let's say, para sa pancake. Gagawa sila ngayon ng ingredients ng pancake. I will be their supplier. Okay? So, pupunta tayo sa direct supplier. Ngayon, yung gagawa ng pancake, kailangan ng ingredients ng pancake. Okay? Those who manufacture the ingredients of the pancake needs my harina. Do you get my point? And that supplier of ingredients of pancake will now give to the producer of the pancake. Okay, this is where operation starts. This is the point of manufacturing the pancake. Now, the pancakes, if I am the manufacturer of the pancakes, pero I do not have the store, I just have the kusina, I just have the oven. I know it's not oven. I just have the stove and the kalaha, okay? And then I cook the pancake. But I don't know how to distribute it. I will look for distributors, okay? I will look for distributors. And then these distributors will give it to the final customers. Okay? So it's not just about the pancakes, it's all of the goods that is happening. Let me give you another example. Dito tayo sa direct suppliers. Direct suppliers. Raw materials. From raw materials, manufacturing, let's say for example, Piatos. Okay? The Piatos company, they manufacture it and they look for retailers. Retailers are the supermarkets. Okay? So the supermarkets will now distribute it to the final customers. The final customers will go to that supermarket to buy that Piatos and then they will consume it. Okay? So that's the supply chain. Okay. So I hope you can, I hope klaro ito sa mga screens ninyo. Hindi, ma-zoom nyo lang if that's possible. So a supply chain for Gretna, sabi ko na rin ito kanina. So we have from the farm. So ano bang meron sa farm? The eggs. Hindi ko na alam kung meron na. Basta the eggs. Okay, the poultry. We have the shop. Going down to the mill to create the flour. And then from that, a truck again. Okay. Dito naman pupunta sa bakery. Okay, so sa bakery, gagawa na ngayon. Itong bakery naman, pupunta naman sa supermarket in order for to make their product, in order for the product to be distributed to the final customers. Okay? And then, kunwari ito yung supermarket. That's it. That's supply chain. Okay? So, madali lang intindihin yung supply chain. So, let's look at the suppliers, ha? From dito, meron tayong suppliers ng equipment, feed, seed, fertilizers, energy. Dito naman, we have suppliers for repair dito sa factory ng flour, meron tayong suppliers ng energy or the kuryente. And then, we have the suppliers for other ingredients, okay? Dito naman, we have the suppliers for the tires, kasi trucks, we are talking about the distributor, the trucks, okay? So, that's it. That's the supply chain. Now, next we have, medyo, mali dito. Ayun. So, we have figure 1.4, operations function involves the conversion of inputs into outputs. Yung operations is responsible for transforming this input into outputs. Conversion, there is conversion. So, yung inputs na land, labor, capital, the information, the idea, okay, will go to the process of what we call the conversion process or the operations. Okay. Dito, meron tayong control kasi we're talking about operations management. May control tayo dito. We may not have the control here because we are not the finance department. We may not have the control here, but we have the control here. So, kapag merong problema dito ngayon, magkakaproblema din dito. Okay? Factory defects or whatsoever. Pag nagkaroon ng factory defect, pumunta sa consumer, what will happen? Madidismaya yung consumer, hindi na siya bibili ulit, makukulangan ka na ngayon ng capital kasi wala nang pang-roll yung business, walang sales. Okay? That's just an example. Now, next, let's proceed to some examples of inputs, processing, and outputs. So, here we have, sa food, we have raw vegetables, metal sheets, water, energy, labor, building, equipment. For processing the food, we have cleaning the cans, cutting, cooking, packing, labeling. This is the process, what is actually happening inside the factory. And we have canned vegetables. That's the output. How about for Hospital. So we have hospital inputs, we have the doctors, nurses, medical supplies, the masks that we are using, equipment, laboratories. These are the inputs. Now, the process of that is the examination, surgery, monitoring, medication, therapy. The outputs is healthy patients. Okay? Now, nakita natin yung kaibahan ng service and goods, right? But there are outputs. Okay, there are outputs na nagko-combine yung dalawa. So let's try to look at this figure 1.5. Goods and services often occur jointly. So, for example, bigyan ko ng another example. I don't know if nandito siya. House painting. The paint itself is a good. The painter is a service. So, that is a combination. If you call for someone to paint your house, provided niya na yung paint and at the same time the painting of the house. Okay? So, another thing is surgery and teaching. Medyo konti lang yung goods in a part, yung inputs in a part, but it's more on service. Songwriting, software development. So, songwriting naman kasi, you have there is a service, yung pag-write ng song. The output is the records, what we hear as MP3s, as music videos, computer repair, restaurant, and meal. Bakit siya combination? Because in computer repair, if nasira yung, let's say, motherboard mo, they can provide another motherboard. But it's part of their service to provide that good. Okay? Restaurant meal. They are serving the food. If you are in a restaurant, you experience the vibe in the restaurant. That's part of the service. You experience how accommodating their waiters and waitresses. They serve the food. Okay, that's the service. But the food you eat is the good. Okay, next, automobile repair and fast food. There is service, a little bit, not really, a medium service in fast food. Okay, but in automobile and repair, mas yung output na sa atin if we own the car, right? Next, we have home remodeling. Okay, retail sales, automobile assembly, steel making. Okay. Now, the essence of operations function, the essence of the operations functions is to add value during the transformation process. To add value added is the difference between the cost of inputs and the value or price of outputs. Okay? So the essence of operations function is to add value during the transformation process. There should be a value. Okay? So there should be a difference between the cost of input and the value of the output. So let's say, for example, yung cost ng raw material mo hindi naman ganun kamahal, pero you were able to create an excellent product out of that resources. Okay? So there should be a value added. Now next, production of goods versus delivery of services. So production of goods are tangible outputs, delivery of services are act. Service job categories, we have government, wholesale or retail, financial services, healthcare, personal services, business services, education. Now, what are the differences? Okay, malapit na tayo mag-end. What are the differences between the production of goods and delivery of services? First is customer contact. Many services involve a high degree of customer contact, although services such as internet providers, utilities, and mail service do not. Customer contact. Yung service, merong customer contact. I go to your house, I do plumbing services. For example, ayusin ko yung gripo nyo or yung nagbara na tubo dyan. Okay, there is customer contact. The service provider is there. The customer is there at the same time. Unlike kapag goods, okay, walang customer contact doon. Yung gumawa ng highlighter, hindi sila nag-meet nung student na bumili ng highlighter sa South Seas, for example. Okay, next is uniformity of input. Kapag service, mahirap gawing uniform ang trabaho. That's obvious. But if it's manufacturing or delivering or producing goods, you can make the same highlighter. You can duplicate this. Actually, you can replicate this. Pare-parehong itsura, pare-pareho ang color, pare-pareho ang design. Because it is tawag yan, nagawa na siya before pa. Okay? Na plano ng maayos and whatsoever. Next is labor content of job. Services often have a higher degree of labor content than manufacturing. Okay? So, ano yun? Obviously yun. Kasi, for example, automated services are, for example, pagdating sa labor content of job, sa manufacturing, ang gagawin mo, kung ikaw yung nagtatrabaho doon, for example, gagawin mo, magpapack ka lang ng pagkain, ng fish cracker, for example. Pero sa service naman, hindi. Okay, it's more, kailangan ng mas higher skills doon. Okay? Next is measurement of productivity. Measurement of productivity can be more difficult for service jobs due largely to a high variation of inputs. Iba't iba kasi input, iba't iba rin yung output ng service. Kaya hindi siya magkakapareho kasi nga yung sa uniformity. But in manufacturing and delivering of goods, you can measure the productivity. By the way, productivity will be discussed in the next chapters of our of this subject. Quality assurance is usually more challenging for services due to higher variation of input, etc., etc. Inventory, many services tend to involve less use of inventory than manufacturing operations. Sa manufacturing, merong mga matitira, pwede nyo siyang magamit ulit. Sa services, wala masyadong pwede. Okay, we also have the wages and the ability to patent. Okay, dito tayo sa ability to patent. Yung wages, maintindihan nyo na yan siya. Manufacturing jobs are often well paid. Okay, so wages. And then, ability to patent. Product designs are often easier to patent. When you say patent, okay, the license to that creativity of the product. For example, Faber-Castell has this color, has this design. Meron silang patent ito. Pero if services, wala masyado. Mas mahirap yung ganun. Mas madaling makopy ng ibang companies. So, we will meet next meeting for the continuation of our topic. But I will leave an assignment to you. Check your Google Classrooms. Okay? So, that's it for now. We will